Hey guys, welcome to our first week of virtual groups. I hope you guys are doing well. What I'd like to do is lead us through a study of the book of James. And James doesn't beat around the bush. He's one of those friends that stabs you in the front and not in the back. And so join me. We're going to be in James chapter 1 and just want to make a few observations. Count it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. Let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. I don't know about you, but for someone in the middle of a difficult situation to look at me and say, hey man, count it all joy. That's hard to hear, and that's even harder to do. But James is writing to Christians here, and he says, your response to difficult things should be joy. And you may say, well, how on earth is that possible? Well, there's a progression here. And the first thing that we're kind of confronted with is this belief that maybe some of us had, that maybe we were immune to difficulty or hard things, that maybe following Jesus kept us safe, following Jesus made life easier. And that's not the picture that we see here from James. He says, count it all joy, not if, but when you meet trials of various kinds. So that's a pretty big field to play in. Various trials, count it all joy. So how are we supposed to count it all joy? Well, first, it's something that happens in our mind. If you want to count it all joy, first you have to change the way that you think. And what he says is this: you have to change your perspective. What is going on in the midst of a trial? Well, what's going on is not just suffering, but something is happening with that suffering. See, with God, James says, nothing is wasted. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. One of the ways that Greek word testing, the testing of your faith, it also means genuine. So I've got here, I'll throw it up to the camera right there. This is a real Major League Baseball. I caught this, I scrambled for this, I didn't catch it, at a Tampa Bay Rays game about 1.5 years ago. And this is an official Major League Baseball. It's got the seal. That is what shows me that it's the real deal. This is what James is saying. He says, when you go into hardship, you know that when your faith is proved or tested to see whether or not it's genuine, whether or not it's real faith, that testing produces an enduring faith, or a faith that lasts. Right now, even in this moment we're in as a community, we know that this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. Well, the same thing is true of your walk with Jesus, that it's not a sprint, that it's a marathon. And let steadfastness have its full effect. Let endurance do its full work. I don't know any of you who would take your car to the mechanic, right? And call them before they call you and say, hey, actually, I know that you're fixing my suspension right now, but I just want you to stop working right now. It's good right now. I don't know very many of you, right, who'd say, hey, I'm really thirsty and I'd like some water. I don't know many of you who would settle for this, okay? This isn't gonna do. If you drink this much water in a week or in a day, this isn't healthy. We need, James says, to let endurance do the full work in our lives. And that's hard. Normally when we come into a trial, we want it to end immediately. But what James is saying is, counting it all joy, knowing that God is doing something in the midst of your trial. He is revealing the genuineness of your faith. And that produces a faith that makes it in the long run. So there's a whole purpose behind our suffering, that it's not meaningless, that it's not random. He says this, that endurance will do the full work. And this is the result, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. What James is after is he's after helping these Christians understand that when we suffer, we need this mindset that says God is doing something in the middle of this. I've actually got notes in my Bible. I've heard Dr. Drew preach this before, and the way he said it I think is great. He says this, we can count it all joy because we know our Redeemer, the God who saved us, is also our refiner. He's the God who shapes us. Some of you hear the word perfect and you automatically go to morality, like no mistakes. But because James is talking about hardship and suffering here, what he's really getting at is the quality of our faith, a well-rounded faith, a filling out of our faith. And just like we said, you wouldn't stop if you told someone that you were thirsty. You wouldn't settle for a glass of water like this. Well, the same is true of us, that God will not settle for a kind of faith in our lives that's not full. And he's not just talking about morality there. He's talking about having the quality of faith in your life, having the sort of quality of faith that will lead you to say, in the midst of deep trial, I have everything I need. And what a witness to Jesus when we say, you know what? I don't need anything right now because I have everything I need in Jesus. That's how we count it all joy.